I think that the law enforcement people, fire personnel, the National Guard, Sheriff's Department, and all of the others who are joining in a coordinated effort are going to be able to keep this situation under control.
I don't know if you can, but can you get an owner for ONS? That's O-N-S Junior Market. The address is 1934 East Anaheim. All the windows are busted out.
It was April 29, 1992, and the verdict to the Rodney King trial was about to be announced. Hundreds of listeners tuned into their television sets, eyes and ears glued to the screen, eager for justice. Prominent among the viewers were the Black community. But once the verdict was announced, the Black community immediately became enraged and protested among the streets. Violence broke out in the city as Los Angeles experienced one of the most destructive civil disturbances in the 20th century. Prior to the riots, many believed racial tensions among the Black and Korean communities have emerged as the media had portrayed. But was it really a racial problem between African Americans and Korean Americans? Or was it the racial issue between African Americans and Caucasians that had stemmed over a long period of time? It was March 3, 1991, when 25-year-old Rodney King was speeding with two friends in the car. Around 12:30 a.m., a California Highway Patrol car chased King's speeding vehicle. The pursuit finally stopped, and within seconds, numerous police officers from LA and the CHP arrived at the scene. Among them were Officers Lawrence Powell, Theodore Berseno, Timothy Wind, and Sergeant Stacy Kuhn. Concluding that King was resisting arrest while consumed with alcohol, the officers commenced with a violent beating. Taser shots were inflicted. The men did not flinch as they hit King's body with their batons. Nearby, George Holliday was awakened from the noise and videotaped the beating, evidence that soon proved to be influential in the trial following from that night, curbing public opinion against police officers and questioning their faith in court verdicts. On March 15, 1991, the four police officers were arraigned on the charges of assault and the use of excessive force. On November 26, the case was moved to Simi Valley in Ventura County. This change of venue was in response to the high tensions in LA between African Americans and the police. The trial began on March 4, 1992 with a jury of 10 Caucasians, 1 Hispanic, and 1 Filipino American. On April 29, the 4 police officers were issued not guilty on any accounts. Los Angeles became the center of civil unrest as hundreds demonstrated on the streets, looted stores, and vandalized cars, protesting against the verdict. Many Black residents deeply resented this verdict and felt that justice had not been served. A soured attitude towards white people developed. Yet, for Sergeant Lloyd Scott of the Los Angeles Police Department believed race was not a factor of deciding a verdict.
The person in the jury stand really makes that much of a difference. I think it really is the mind and the hearts of the people in the
Soonja Do and her husband Billy Do had migrated from Korea to America in hopes of having a better future. By 1981, they opened their own convenience store, the Empire Liquor Store. Within 32 blocks surrounding her store, there had been 5 murders, 9 rapes, 184 robberies, and 254 assaults that were recorded in 1990. It was an unfortunate Saturday morning. At 9:45 a.m., March 16, 1991, Latasha Harlins, a 15-year-old African-American schoolgirl, went into Dew's store located in Compton, California, to purchase orange juice. Harlins put the orange juice into her backpack and walked into the counter. Dew believed she was attempting to steal the orange juice and did not see her holding the $2. Dew allegedly grabbed her, and after a series of violent struggles, she reached for the handgun under the counter. Harlins then attempted to place the juice back on the counter, but Dew knocked the carton out of her hand. Unlikely to preside, yet chosen, was Joyce Carlin, a newly appointed female judge in the Los Angeles Superior Court. She was the newest and youngest judge in the Compton office of the court. Charles E. Lloyd and Richard Leonard defended Soonja Do during the trial. Amid raging debates and contradicting testimonies from both sides, a decision was finally made on April 21, 1992. Carlin debated that Dew's reaction has elevated from previous burglary and gang interactions. David Butler, a Los Angeles Police Department ballistics expert, also testified that the weapon used to kill Harlins was defective in a way that even without pressure, the trigger would have gone off. This trial intensified Black tensions as they felt that they were being targeted. Meanwhile, Carlin was condemned of her verdict as public opinions and newspapers worsened her image and reputation. The Harlan's case acted as a catalyst to the riots. The final straw was King's verdict, announced on April 29, 1992, which marked the beginning of the LA riots. Civil disturbances and violence engulfed Los Angeles. Arsenal and looting did not stop until about 3 days later. Initially, rioters consisted of African Americans. They committed violent acts by burning down large numbers of buildings, the majority of which were Korean-owned stores. Los Angeles became engulfed with smoke. Eventually, looting stores became prominent. Rioters now included Hispanics who broke into stores in mass numbers, stealing as much merchandise as possible.
What can I do? We cannot buy anything for my kid. We need milk for baby, right? So they have to looting. No cashier, so they have to steal.
Don't you know this is illegal?
No. United States, how come they let that happen to the place? Why didn't they guard? Y'all running out of there with the food. I got to do some shopping. I don't have any food in the house.
White truck driver Reginald Denny was dragged out from his truck in the corner of Florence and Normandy Avenue. Black rioters, bitter about the King verdict, beat Denny almost to the brink of death. Among the beaters was Damian Monroe Williams, who fractured Denny's skull in 91 places with a cinder block, causing severe brain damage. Bobby Green, a black civilian, finally rescued Denny just before he got killed. This incident depicted the tensions between African Americans and Caucasians. These tensions did not result from the Rodney King riots, but were rather intensified by them. The source of these tensions flowed way back into history. Ever since this point in time, tensions between African Americans and Caucasians had risen due to African Americans' plea for civil justice. Bombs were thrown and a huge portion of Los Angeles was destroyed. LAPD cruisers were mercilessly turned over and African Americans attacked innocent bystanders. The mobs were too intense and many police officers backed down. In failed attempt to lessen the violence, Mayor Tom Bradley enforced a curfew and California Governor Pete Wilson declared a state of emergency.
그 사람들이 5월 1일 날 왔어요. 5월 1일 날 밤에. 그런데 그때까지 경찰이 없었어요. 있기는 있었는데 너무 진짜 필요한 때만 나왔어요. 될 수 있으면 다 안으로 들어갔어요. 왜냐? 라이엇 피플하고 경찰하고 출합을 하기 싫었던 거예요. 왜냐? 경찰이 이미 알고 있어요. 라이엇에 풀합을 하면 폴리스한테 있다고.
On May 1st, 1992, President George Bush ordered the National Guard to intervene in LA. After 3 days of disorder, LA was left with 55 dead, 2,000 injured, 7,000 arrests, and $1 billion in property damage. After the riots, the Korean community led marches advocating peace organized by the Riot Special Countermeasures Committee at Ardmore Park. Hundreds gathered, marching through Koreatown.
The consequences of the riots were that the American government failed in its duty to treat everyone equally under the law.
If the people no longer trust that their government is going to be theirs, then even people who don't have the tradition of freedom that we have will act in irresponsible ways.
President Bush issued the Presidential Task Force in response to recover LA and act upon what was necessary to fix the damages caused by the riots. Even after these mounting debates, all the different ethnicities worked together to clean up their city. Gradually, LA was rebuilt and tensions were lessened.
If you want justice, you have to fight for justice. Either you will stand for something or fall for everything.
There were so many controversial and complicated debates surrounding the LA riots. Its root was not the product of odium between races, but of the black community's plea for justice. Nonetheless, the media portrayed the riots as an issue between Asian Americans and African Americans.
이제 백인들한테 저희들은 더 화가 많이 난. 물론 정부에도 이 흑인들을 관리를 잘했으면은 우리한테 이런 여파가 오지 않지.
Even today, the debris of the LA riots, stereotypes, misunderstandings, and unforgiving hearts still exist. Although the fires and violent acts were doused, racial tensions were not fully extinguished. Even today, these tensions should be fully addressed for the welfare of the citizens and communities.
The riots represent the invisible ethnic barriers that we all face in our daily lives. It teaches us that we should break down these barriers, heal all racial wounds, and strive for equal justice.
You know, can we all get along? Can we get along? Can we stop making it all work?